What is up, everyone, and welcome to the Real Ones Canes podcast. That guy, if you're watching on my left, is Cam Underwood. He is managing editor of State of the U. It is arguably the best website that covers the Miami Hurricanes. It's open 24/7, 365. It is free, which is the best word that anyone can hear, and it is awesome. So, that's Cam Underwood. I, on the other hand, don't have my own website or manage one. I do have a YouTube channel and a couple of dogs, a wife, and a kid, but no one's counting. I'm Brian the Beast London. You can follow me at Miami Radio Beast. Cam, we did our post-game episode as we covered Miami's win over Stanford. And once again, one of the topics that came out of that game was a clamoring from Miami Hurricane fans about running up the middle. And it kind of came to a head. We're doing this Wednesday night very late into Thursday morning. It came to a head on Monday when the coaches, Mario and Shannon Dawson, the offensive coordinator, and Corey Heatherman, the defensive coordinator, they meet with the media. And Shannon Dawson was asked about running up the middle, and he was a bit perturbed. And we will play those. We will play those responses for you. But before we get to that, what's your takeaway? What's your thoughts on all of this before we get to Shannon Dawson's thoughts?
So I'll go back, not this week, but last week. Something that Miami Hurricanes fans latched on to was when he was asked about the run game last week. Shannon Dawson used the phrase, "It is what it is." He did not use that in a vacuum, but people turned their brains and ears off to everything else he said. What he elaborated on that statement with last week was the variety of run schemes that Miami employs are the vocabulary of run that we're going to do. We're not going to rebuild our whole entire system and scheme at the whim of the fans, basically. So there are many, many, many schemes inside and outside that we have in the playbook and run and employ. The thing that Mario Cristobal iterated before Dawson reiterated, and both of them reiterated yet again this week, is the main thing is improved execution for improved performance. But when Dawson said the words, "It is what it is," people just started screaming at me because I live tweet those on Mondays. They're, "Oh, well, this guy, he's D'Onofrio, he's Guidry." It's like, that's not what he said. But
wow.
People stopped listening.
People went D'Onofrio.
Yeah, they said literally, they hit me with that. So I think it's a little overblown in the terms of like people just basically being like, Shannon Dawson's an idiot, he doesn't know how to coach football. Something that I saw on another Canes website, not State of the U, and I will give credit, it's Canes Insight. The guy's name is Lance Roffers, and he does film reviews. Like we have Justin DeTavio at State of the U who does great. But the thing that I loved from Lance's was he looked at a specific thing on one of the plays from the Stanford game. And basically, when Miami has a tight end on the wing and motions that tight end across the formation, whichever direction it is, what he invariably does, that tight end who motioned in the run game, is he's going to block the A gap on the other side of the center from where he motions. So if he motions from right to left and he's on the left of the center, he's going to plug in to the A gap on the right-hand side. That's where he's going to block. Stanford saw that tendency, and as soon as the tight end moved laterally, one of the linebackers, on the side where he was going to fit the run, he was 2 yards closer to the line of scrimmage than his normal place of alignment because they saw that tendency and said, "Oh, boom, cool. He's motioning across. That means he's coming into my A gap. Let me get a head start now because he's going to be there." And for that, in the inside run game, I think we need to go to the pivot off of the tendency. We need to do something different, but we're not doing that with split zone.
Just to get into some lingo for those that don't know ball as well as Cam, or even me, before we get to Shannon Dawson, the A gap is the gap between the center and the guard. The B gap is between the guard and the tackle. The C gap is between the tackle and the tight end. And then theoretically there could be a D gap, but that's neither here nor there. So right. just so A gap between the center and the guards, B gap between the guards and the tackles. That's what we're talking about when we're talking about inside runs.
And like with that last thing, good for that definition. So remember this when you hear what Shannon Dawson's talking about, because basically people are complaining about what I just went on the soliloquy about from the other piece and everything in the analysis was an A gap run, which for everybody, for all intents and purposes, think inside zone or dive, where you get it and you go directly up the middle, basically, like you're going on either shoulder of the center, right? So this is something that we're talking about. I think the specificity from the analysis on the other website, like I said, gave some great clarity along this path, but you're going to hear a lot of talk about A gaps being on either side of the center, so between center and guard, and then the B gap, which is between the guard and the tackle, but not necessarily going way outside. You're going to hear a lot of that. So, yeah, I just wanted to bring that up, and I think that I know it's only one of the schemes that we run, but the fact that like we as fans and analysts and evaluators on the outside, not who do not work full-time in sport, can see something like that and pick it out from the film and pick it out where Stanford was taking advantage of it because they saw the tendency in their linebackers closer to the line of scrimmage, giving him an advantage to be able to fit that run and then stop that play for a short gain. That belies what we're talking about as you go into the question, definitely asked by our good friend Adam Lichtenstein of the Sun Sentinel, and the responses goes from there.
Yeah, so, okay, let me set these. We have two clips because Shannon took about a good 5 minutes at least of press conference time to talk about the run game and the idea that Miami runs up the middle too much. The first
man is coaching, by the way. I mean, I know ball, but I can learn some more. I learned some from Shannon on Monday because this question got stepped on a nerve a little bit. So he said, "Oh, all right, scheme." He's coaching in this.
So as Cam said, the first one's asked by Adam Lichtenstein from the South Florida Sun Sentinel, and then we have Gary Furman from Kane Sports. So let's play the first part of Shannon Dawson on the run game.
Looking at like the breakdown of like running directions over the last couple of years, and this year you guys are running up between the tackles a little bit more than you have in the last couple of seasons. I guess it's I asked Mario the same question, but I guess what kind of goes into the decision making on the running strategy, I guess?
I mean, nothing. I mean, we try to put together a plan to attack the defense. When you say running up the middle, you do understand that when you're in the shotgun and even when you hand outside zone, it's going to be a B gap run or A gap run like 90-something% of the time with every team across the nation. Mm-hmm. We do understand that, right? Yeah. And so the amount of times the ball gets outside the tackle when you're a shotgun team everywhere in the nation is not very high. Or do we understand that? Mm-hmm. We do. Okay, so with that being the way it is, we probably ran outside zone half the time Saturday. But where does the ball go? It probably goes B gap or A gap. Why? Well, the ball is getting handed here. The O-line is here. Mm-hmm. So the fact that it has to go all the way around the tackle and outside zone is probably not going to happen unless the defense gets out of gap, which they did a couple times. And so I'm 100% good with the ball hitting the A-B gap. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's just, I don't understand the infatuation of how do you want me to get the ball outside with the running back? It's a question to me. Yeah. How do you want me to do it?
I'm not the offensive.
You mean run an option?
Maybe.
Okay, I'll run option. That's smart. Genius.
Toss sweep.
You run a toss sweep from underneath. Yeah, we'll go underneath.
All right. So obviously, Shannon Dawson has been hearing the chatter. He came ready for this question, right? So That was just the first part. It gets better. It gets more wonky, if you will, as we get into this. As you just heard, Gary Furman suggest a toss sweep, and Shannon. I mean, it's something.
But he also said option.
Shannon said option. Yeah,
But the thing about it is, for me, I think it almost feels like Shannon Dawson was ready to fight because the question clearly was between the tackles. He didn't say, it wasn't asked as y'all run up the middle all the time and it sucks. But the beginning of his response was, oh, we run up the middle all the time.
Right,
and
exactly.
Like, whoa.
Yes.
I said between the tackles, which is a long ways. And like
someone's been either listening, watching, reading something. Someone's been doing some sort of paying attention to the outside noise. All right, let's hear it.
Because the response definitely came to that and not what was directly asked. So you could tell, but continue. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no worries. Let's get to the second clip here of Shannon Dawson, more on the run game and the idea that Miami runs between the tackles too much.
Impact the defense, though. What you're saying. It does. But you've got a gap.
I get asked that question a lot. I don't think it makes total sense, to be honest.
I get asked nothing more than this. But like when you have A gap and B gap, how does that impact a defense trying to defend that?
You still got to stretch. So where's the A gap go? So I would look at it, if people really want to find the answer and really ask questions, it's where does the A gap go? So if you're running outside zone, the A gap might start where you're at, but it might end up where you're at.
It slides.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Because you're blocking, if you run outside zone, then the O-line's moving to the right. And so, the ball starts right here and the guard starts right here, but the ball might end up where you are. But it's still in the A gap or still in the B gap. Does that make sense? And so, but it's moved 6 or 7 yards that way. And so to me, I don't obsess about that nearly as much as y'all do or our fans do. I don't, because ultimately I understand that like when you hand the ball off from the shotgun, most of the time it's going to end up in the A or B gap. It don't matter what run scheme you run. We ran pin and pull 6 times sided. It could get outside, but how many times did it? It didn't, because it became a B gap run, because defenses most of the time are going to set the edge to the defense unless they mess up. They messed up a couple times and it spit outside and we got a game. Most times it's going to hit in the A or B gap. It doesn't matter what the run game scheme is. Counter is going to hit outside sometimes when they wrong shoulder it and the linebacker doesn't fit right. Is that an inside run or an outside run? I'm asking you.
Probably in the eye of the holder.
Well, counter is an inside run,
right?
But it ends up
outside
sometimes when the defense misfits it. You know what I mean? And so it has everything to do with how the defense fits it. Does that make sense? And so you can run outside zone 15 times, which we probably ran it 10 or so times in the game Saturday. It hit outside 1 time. It hit in the B gap most times. It hit in the A gap a handful of times. Like duo, you can run duo 10 times. It's probably going to hit in the A gap 6 of those times. It's probably going to spit to the B gap or backside B gap a handful of times. And there's going to be a couple of times where it falls off the table because they misfit it. You know what I mean? So where the ball hits, I can't, the defense dictates that a lot by how they fit. And we use a lot of things to spit the ball on the edge, which creates edges to defenses, right? To me, that's our stretch game, is getting the ball in the flats, which we do approximately 8 to 10 times a game. And so the question about the ball hitting up the middle, they can keep asking it and y'all can keep asking it, but I'm not going to change what we're doing, because what we're doing is how we want to play football and how really everybody does, And so it's not much different than that, unless you're a quarterback run game team and you run power read or you run option, which we don't run that. I don't run those plays because our quarterbacks are pocket guys, they're throwers. We choose to play offense a different way. Now, if we switched our whole scheme to that, then we could run all those things that you see some people run that have quarterback run game people, but we're not that person.
So there is Shannon Dawson for over 5 minutes between the combined clips, and that wasn't even all of it. And by the way, he mentioned he made a reference back to running up the middle a good 5 to 7 times more throughout the rest of his press conference on questions that had nothing to do with that. He went back to it. He kept going back to it. He was not going to let Adam Lichtenstein or Gary Furman forget about the running up the middle situation. Cam, what did you, first of all, are we to, I have to believe him, right? Like what he says, when he says we did outside zone 10 times, and this many times went to the B gap, this many times went to the A gap. Like I just have to believe him because I don't know ball well enough to disprove him. So should I take him for his word?
Yeah, I mean, I think that we should. I'm going to actually intentionally rewatch the game and chart it this week just to be sure from what I'm seeing.
Ooh, I can't wait.
And I'm also going to lean into, the network of football coaches and former players and things that I know to see, like, hey, this is what I saw when I counted. Rewatch it and count it. And let me, am I wrong? Am I off? And I get the outside zone can hit in the A gap and everything with the line moving. But again, I think that even that longer soliloquy got away from the point, which is there are runs that are straight behind James Brockermeyer on either A gap that go nowhere. Like that's the heart of the thing. And then he's talking about, well, okay, outside zone. I love the question about counter. Counter is an inside run. Now, if you're younger or not as versed in ball, you can say, okay, well, it's a counter. You're going to try to, it hits outside sometimes, but counter is an inside run.
Correct.
It's basically power to the backside. You just the lineman go here, boom, and then you're trying to crease that. You know what I mean? It does spill sometimes, but I love that. Like, okay, boom. And he was coaching when he said, look, if we run outside zone, A gap starts here, it could end up over there. Like he was really delivering a lot of scheme knowledge, but I think it was from a misguided place because he was answering a question that wasn't asked. But in terms of should you believe him and everything? He's a veteran coach who definitely knows his scheme. Absolutely. I just think that he definitely got in fight or flight defense mode as opposed to like actually addressing the question. And I don't know how else to ask it without being a petulant jerk. You know what I mean? Like Adam did a very good job asking that question. Like, hey, it goes between the tackles, A gap, B gap, Like he asked that in a very learned, studied, professional way. I think the way to get the actual response from Shannon Dawson to what we're talking about is to be a jerk. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
but I know.
Yeah,
no. I get that's not going to happen. I know.
Right,
I get it.
Like shit. Like at this point, if it gets asked next Monday again, Shannon Dawson's going to get triggered and he might hit somebody.
I think that he's going to, well, I mean, obviously depending on the game result on Saturday, but I think that he might even play it down and just be like, hey, it is what it is. Well, there goes that phrase again. But we ran a variety of schemes. They did a variety of things. Obviously the defense is going to fit the run, yada, yada, yada. But I mean, should you believe him? I don't see any reason why not. But again, I don't think that the answer actually addressed the question / issue at hand. And that's the thing.
All right. So I did a little old school journalism.
Ooh.
I went back to my roots a little bit.
Capital J. Get it.
Yeah. So before we started recording, I had an off-the-record conversation with a pretty prominent former University of Miami offensive lineman that definitely knows ball, has played at all levels, and also has been in and out of Shannon's office and Alex Mirabal's office and talked to the guys and knows what's going on, right?
Well, thank you so much, Bryant McKinney.
Yeah, trust me.
Sherko Haji Razuli. One of those dudes, right?
No, it was
Joaquin?
no.
Oh, okay.
No.
Anyway,
I'm not gonna. You can keep mentioning names. I'm not gonna tell you who it is.
Chantrell Henderson, thanks for coming on.
Yeah, that's exactly who I went to. You're right. All right. So on the run thing, this player did say, did like the former player said basically in talking to Shannon Dawson, like has gotten the same basic answer. And also did mention, that with the RPO, those could be outside runs, but if Carson decides to throw it, well, there goes that outside run. It's now a throw. But I'm just repeating. I literally have it written down right here. I'm just repeating what I was told.
I was just ideating. I'm sorry. I know I made a face and I did some.
Yeah.
I was just
it's fine. Okay, so whether that's true or not, okay. I'm just repeating what I was told by someone that's actually been over there recently.
Okay.
So there's that. But a conversation we did get into, which I think is where this conversation goes and how it all comes together, is how has Miami's center, who came in through the portal, James Brockermeyer, how has he been performing in blocking? Because when we got to the stadium last week, our pal Brandon decided we got into the conversation about, here's this guy, he's on the Remington watch list, he's up for all the awards, he's ACC Offensive Lineman of the Week and what have you. And then Brandon's like, hey man, like this guy's gotten blown off the ball sometimes. And then during the game, it happened where those two dudes up front for Stanford blew him off the ball and they like just bowled him over at one point. So,
but individually, it happened, yes. And the one on fourth down was a backup. I'm just saying.
Correct. So I had to get to the bottom of that, because I think part of the lack of success or perceived lack of success of running up the middle has to do with how the guy that's in the middle of the offensive line is blocking. So I have some stuff to give back. Okay. And here's what I was told. One, the reason why they like him. So let's start with the pros. Okay. He is by far one of the best guys that this staff has had. So Mario and Alex Mirabal at pre-snap identification of defenses, linebackers, all of that stuff. Okay. According to them. Yes. The point. We all know about the point, right? The center gets on the ball and he starts pointing. He is by far one of the best when it comes to that action of calling out where the linebackers are and all of that stuff. Okay. That's one thing that I opened my eyes. Okay. Two, he is, at least from their point of view, better than the guy that was before him. And two, is really athletic, more so than maybe given credit for, and can get to the second level, which is really important. Okay. I was told he is not the weak link on the offensive line by far. I was told who that was. I'm not going to repeat it, but he may not be a starter, but also may be called for several pre-snap penalties. Did that give it away? I'm not.
Oh, I already knew who you were talking about, but yeah, go ahead.
Okay, good. He is another reason why they like Brockermeyer. He's great at the combo blocks. That means a block with the guard, which
tag team back again.
All about the duo, which goes back to the duo because we love the duo. So specifically, he's good at the duo. So we're going to run duo because we like the duo. Which is the
foundational play of the Miami run game.
And we're going to just say duo until we stop saying duo. He's pretty good at pass pro setup, meaning from snap to block. He's quick at that. He can pull pretty well. Here's where the issue is. Two issues. One, short arms. He's got those T-Rex arms a little bit. But then again, so did Romberg. But Romberg, was all everything. Brockermeyer is a tad bit undersized. He's not just a tad, maybe like an inch or two and, like 10 pounds, something like that, away from like optimum center. But he can get overpowered in strength.
I think that's three things, because undersized is one.
Yes, great. Yes,
strength.
Yes.
Two are different.
So that's where we are. And I was told this former player has actually talked to scouts out of practice recently.
Okay.
And they told, NFL aside, because he's a little bit undersized and who knows what happened, blah, blah, blah. But scouts would put him between number 10 and number 25 centers in the country.
Interesting. Okay. All right.
So that's what I have to report.
I don't necessarily disagree with the positives. It's interesting that they definitely made the distinction. He's better than the guy last year. I was going to say, if they were going to say that he's the best one that we've had after Matt Lee, no. You better not do that. No. You better don't do that. Because no. Yeah. Okay, sure. Definitely see the lack of size and functional strength, both separate issues, being the issue. Because again, if you're getting walked by backup Stanford linemen, Stanford, one of the worst teams in captivity, buddy. And again, it's in man, not zone blocking, but man blocking, 4th and 1 on the 21-yard, on the Stanford 21-yard line. Go block the dude who's in front of you. And that other dude treated you like a middle schooler and said, okay, we're going to back you up 4 yards into the backfield and kill that run, which probably hits A gap or B gap. And they had converted a couple of times previously with Mark Fletcher and Shamar Brown on short yardage tight situations, which is a thing that Shannon Dawson went back to and said, oh, we converted on this 4th down. Well, that was an inside run. I'm surprised that worked. But like, you can't have that stuff. But okay, sure. All right.
So the interesting dichotomy, right, is between the fact that all of the things that we just said about him, the pros really lean towards keeping Carson Beck or whoever's playing quarterback safe. And Miami advertises itself around the country as, hey, if you come play quarterback for us, you will not get touched. We have an offensive line that will keep you safe. We saw it with Cameron Ward last year. We saw it with Carson Beck this year. You've got time. You're not going to get touched. You're not going to get hurt playing quarterback, being ramsacked in the backfield, playing for us. But some of the skill set that is required to do that is great. But also, Miami likes to run the ball, and this staff prides itself on running the ball and running the ball physically up the middle, whether they want to admit it or not. Every time Mark Fletcher breaks through on the A gap, Mario Cristobal is secretly just having fist pumps all over the place. Yep. And so it's an interesting dichotomy because you want to say, hey, your quarterback's not going to get hit, but on the other hand, your center may not be strong enough in order to get your running back through the A gap. So, go on with your bad self with those two things.
You're not wrong. I have nothing to add. You said it the perfect way.
All right. In that case, we will move on. We've got to preview the game against SMU in Dallas, where it's going to be amazing football weather. Maybe a bit chilly as for hurricanes. It gets below 60, and all of a sudden you're starting to worry. Might be like 58, and we're putting on sweaters. And we also have to talk some recruiting because Miami's gotten some commitments. So we have to do that. And there's a stat that I just saw on the X machine before I jumped on here that blew my mind. And it actually kind of made me a little bit upset and irate. So we will bring that
exactly what you saw.
Yep, we will bring that up on the other side. This and more coming your way after this on the Real Ones Canes podcast. We are back on the Real Ones Canes podcast. He's Cam Underwood, managing editor of State of the U. I am Brian the Beast London. You can follow me at Miami Radio Beast. You can follow Cam at Underwood Sports. Stateoftheu.com, Cam, stateoftheu.com. What is going on stateoftheu.com? What can the people look forward to on stateoftheu.com? I'm waiting for you to go to stateoftheu.com so I can show the people stateoftheu.com so they can go to stateoftheu.com and see all the great articles.
You know what? I'm not going to go. They have the website address already. I'm not going to grace them with a site or vision of the website right now. I looked at all the connections between SMU and Miami that are over there in their program. We have looked at how to watch. We've already done a couple other pieces this week. It's a secret box of free content, gifts for your eyeballs. All you got to do is click on it, stateoftheu.com. Please come on over and fan with us. or check any of the other videos of this podcast where I've put it up on the website. But like, yeah, you can dual screen it even. You can be over there on the website right now as you're still listening to me. I don't know why you're not there already, but we have a great staff of people. We do a lot of great stuff. Go over there and check it out. Bye.
Oh, that was a great promo. You should do this for a living or something. You should do something for a living. All right, let's talk about this game against SMU. Miami going to Dallas to take on SMU, the first road trip outside of the state of Florida. People were asking, "Oh, is this a big deal to go outside of the state of Florida for a game?" Asking like Malachi Tony and whatnot, and he's like, "No." It's like, no, it's not really. Now, aside from the plane ride, which is like 2-3 hours, whatever it is to get to Dallas, I don't know. There's really nothing different other than it's an 11 a.m. start time.
11 a.m. local, 12 noon Eastern, yeah.
Correct. And Mario's answer to that was, well, that's about the time that we do things here, so it's the same schedule that we have here when it comes to working out and practicing and getting up and eating and meetings and all that stuff. It's the same schedule, so we're good to go. Cam, I always have a fear for these games of the sleepy nooner.
Fair.
Just Miami just being not ready for prime time at 11 a.m.
Or noontime, as it were. But I get it. But yeah, the University of Miami football program is a morning organization. Like they practice in the mornings because then they leave the rest of the day for classes and things like that. Whereas other places, they're afternoon groups. So they do, early stretching and maybe some treatment in the mornings, and then guys go to class all day, and then they practice in the afternoon like it's high school. Different strokes for different folks. So there is a system in place already to get your body ready to do work on the field early in the morning. So I get what Mario is saying from that. But he did say the difference is for a noon game or 11 a.m. local time kick this week, you wake up and you're getting your body ready to go play immediately. And so I'm hopeful that the systems that we've put in place, because we've had noon games in years past, and this is not a rookie coach, so this is not his first rodeo, that the systems we have in place work. But I'm excited to see this game. Yes, it's the first time that we're leaving the state of Florida. This is going to be the beginning of the 5-game month of November that we talked about all offseason and everything, where Miami needs to go 5-0 to, have their dreams realized of going 11-1. And that is regardless of if Miami makes the ACC championship game or not, which they could still go 7-1 in conference and not make the ACC championship game, which would be infuriating, yes, but whatever. If you win all 5 of these games, you're going to the college football playoff. It's that simple. So Mario has said all year, every game is a playoff game and blah, blah, blah. You had the wiggle room to lose one. Then you lost a stupid one with 4 freaking interceptions against Louisville. So now the wiggle room is gone. Go win, and you have a chance to continue on to making it to the college football playoff, or lose and you don't. It is what it is. So basically, go show me something.
Let me just give the folks some numbers. SMU's offense averages 31.4 points per game, 386.3 yards per game. Total offense, 265 yards per game in passing offense. Rushing offense, 121.3 points per game. Their defense, though, gives up an average of 405.9 points per game. They have a great offense.
Yards
per game. Sorry. Kevin Jennings is their quarterback, 18 touchdowns, 6 interceptions. Their leading rusher is TJ Harden, 456 yards, 5 touchdowns. Their leading receiver, we know him very well, Romello Brinson, 515 yards, 4 touchdowns. They are great at taking away the ball on defense, and they are great at sacking the quarterback. They, I believe, have 12 total sacks on the year, or they rank 12. I can't remember at this point in time. I really should have it up in front of me, but I don't. But I know they're great at sacks. They're great at taking away the ball, but the rest of their pass defense is terrible. So you make sense of that.
They are tied for 9th in the country with 25 sacks, 3.1.
Where did I get the 12 from?
I have no idea. Maybe if they went in ordinal number of each and every single one, but I'm on CFBstats.com. They have 25 in 8 games, just over 3 per game. So, yeah, they get after the quarterback, but they give up tons and tons of passing yards. And, yeah, 405 points allowed a game would be a record. Lots of dudes over there that, I mean, they have athletes, man. But this will be interesting to see if Miami is able to take advantage of a very gettable pass defense. You know what I mean? But they kind of play a risk-reward, high-flying kind of scheme on defense because, yeah, they sack the quarterback and they take the ball away, but in between there, teams eat up chunks of yards. Chunks and chunks and chunks. Now, the thing about it is you got to score points because yards don't matter, points do. Right. So, yeah, you have to figure that out. You have to be ready early, to your point about a sleepy nooner and everything. Like, this is not a game where you're going to want to show up late like Louisville and be down 14-0, and then all of a sudden
you cannot get behind.
Okay, you want to – I mean, behind if they get the ball first and they go score like Stanford did.
Oh, no. I mean, okay, fine. But then go match it. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Exactly. So, yeah, there are some things, it'll be interesting to see how effective the run game is because SMU has made their bones on we're going to sell out to take away the run and make teams pass on us. And teams have to the point where they're 5-3 this year. And they finally lost their first ever ACC game at Wake Forest last week because they went undefeated last year in the first 3 games in the conference to start this year. And yeah, this is an eliminator game for whoever loses towards the ACC championship game. Like, even though there would still need to be help for either team to get there, you lose this one, you're pretty much done with the way that things have fallen and, the dark magic of Virginia. And shenanigans from, well, not shenanigans. They're just beating people in the face from Georgia Tech. Yeah. So, yeah, it'll be interesting. I think our defense obviously will have to step up. It'll be interesting because this is another game where we're facing a quarterback who can run. He's not the best runner in the world.
He hasn't done it a lot this year, though.
Right. He hasn't done, but let it be this week. We're like, oh, he hasn't done it a lot.
Of course, yeah.
Well, carries for 93 yards on a touch. You know what I mean? So, like, we need to be attuned to the fact that he has the physical ability to do it. So we can kind of curtail that in it's not the exact same because he doesn't run as much, but a similar way to how we curtailed it against CJ Carr for the most part and also Byron Brown when we played those teams. So, yeah, I think that this is probably every game that you play is the toughest game that you have that week because it's the only game that you play. I think that this is probably the toughest game that we have left in the regular season. And I know people are going to be like, Cam, Thanksgiving weekend, Pitt. I get it. I know that has its own different thing. But yeah, this is probably the toughest game that we have left, but we need to show up for it. I think that we have the talent and ability to go and win because, they've lost 3 times already this year, including last week. But the performance has to be there to back that up. So, hey.
Yeah, the last week's game was ugly. It was a 13-12 game where Wake Forest won, but both teams were turning the ball over. That's why
left, right, and center.
Yeah, that's why that ended up the way it was. Miami is right now favored by 12.5, and the total is at 50.5. I wish I could say that I think that Miami will beat the spread and cover, but I don't know. I'm going to see how this line goes, but I'm tempted to say Miami's going to win on the money line, but may not cover the 12.5. I'm thinking, and as far as the total goes, 50. Yeah. I could see this being a 35-21 game, something like that.
That's
which would cover and be over. So I guess I just talked myself into taking the over and covering. But something like that, 35-21.
I'd see something along those lines. Like my initial reaction was like Miami by 10. So, 31-21, 34-24, somewhere in there. Was what my initial thought was, but I think that this team is a touchdown to 10 points better than SMU. We just got to go out there and play to that standard of performing excellence on the field. But I say that every week, and I'm the kind of person and the kind of analyst where if you guys have been following my work, you've been listening to me here, my main thing is the University of Miami playing to the standard of the University of Miami, regardless of who's on the other side of the field. So I'm always looking in the mirror to say, what can we do? And I stand on that. If we do what we need to do, we should be able to win the game. We did it. Well, I mean, we've done it 6 times this year. We didn't do it one time and lost. So, yeah, that's where I am. Miami wins close, but probably doesn't cover. I'd say Miami by 10.
Okay. Go over the 50 or not?
I think over, because even if you're at 31-21, that's 52 over a 50.5 point spread. It opened at 54.5, so it would have been under the opening number, but over the current number. Yeah, I think that sounds about right. Because honestly, if I'm thinking about it, 11 drives, 5 score, ballpark 11, 12 drives, 5 scores, 4 of those being touchdowns, 1 of those being a field goal. That's how you get to 31. In my hypothetical, I don't think that that's crazy. Yeah, I'm interested to see where the explosive plays are, because we've had 1 game with them, and it was in Tallahassee against those bums up in Florida State. But otherwise, it's been plodding and pedantic. And I get that the spin from Shannon Dawson is going to be, well, it's good old-fashioned efficiency and everything. You're not going to be successful walking down the field and scoring in that many plays all the time, as we saw on the first drive last week, because we were at the 19-yard line and Alex Ballman had a false start on 2nd and 6, and boom, that's what happened.
Time of possession is huge in this game. SMU can also go tempo at times, so that's another thing that we saw up in Tallahassee. So we'll see what Corey Heatherman dials up. I'm also interested to see if they're able to deal with whatever Rhett Lashley has dialed up for the script on whatever SMU's opening drive is.
Buddy, he's chefing it up too. Like, hey, we lost. Cool. It sucks, but all right, let me really get in the kitchen. Let me cook it up. Used to coach there, and there's so many. Oh, he's there. Garen Justice was the offensive line coach. He's worked with multiple places. He's there. You might remember this guy. Used to wear number 1, Derek King.
Yep, quarterback coach.
There now. The assistant offensive line coach under Garen Justice. Do you know who that is, Ryan? Because I know who it is. Do you?
It's Ruben Bain's brother.
Ruben Bain's brother, Reggie. Exactly. I mean, and there's even more. And we've gone all the way through this, and I held it back because I didn't know if you were going to mention it. Chris Johnson Jr., everybody's favorite 4th, 5th string running back from last year, is the backup running back there with almost 400 yards total offense and 3 touchdowns between the ground and the air. And blazing speed, which we've seen go against us in, Isaac Brown from Louisville, another guy who's from down here. So, like, they have more. There's so many connections. There's so many dudes who want to show up. I mean, Romello Brinson, their number 1 receiver, like you mentioned, like, he definitely wants to, put on here. RJ Maryland, Russell Maryland's son, is their starting tight end. You think that he doesn't have a good day against dad's alma mater? I mean, like, there's going to be a lot. And Lashley is one of the few head coaches, who's the offensive coordinator and play caller. He's going to have some stuff dialed up for the beginning of this game, and also in his pocket for later in the game. And I swear to goodness, if we're not ready for a fake field goal on 4th and 2 from the 4-yard line again, like we weren't against, wherever you are listening to the sound of my voice now, you from that location will hear me scream from my house in Fort Lauderdale. I promise you.
I can't wait to hear that. I'm so excited for that. God, I hope we don't mess that up if that happens. Cam, before we get to the big recruiting news, I do want to get to the stat that I teased. And you know exactly which one it is.
Sure do.
This comes courtesy of the Orange Bowl boys, who have their own great media entity, and you should check them out when you're done listening and watching us. As it relates to the stat that is the number of penalties by an opponent in the ACC, Miami ranks dead last with 29.1 penalty yards average per game. So, in other words, Miami's opponents are flagged the least. as it relates to VACC numbers.
That is correct.
Okay, so let me say that again. The opponents that play the University of Miami are penalized the least in the ACC. Miami ranks dead last for opponent penalties in the ACC.
17th out of 17. That's in raw number, which is 25 in 7 games, only 3.5 or 3.6 per game. The next closest is Virginia. Opponents penalized 37 times in 8 games. So 12 raw number penalties and also only 189 penalty yards. Again, next closest being Virginia with 324 opponent penalty yards. So it's a 1 more penalty per game and 13.5 more penalty yards per game against Virginia is the next closest team. So basically, when you play the University of Miami, you play a perfect game and never commit penalties. Word? Cool.
Just to make you fume even more, if you're watching or listening.
Oh, but wait.
If you want to go nationally, this comes from teamrankings.com. Nationally, Miami ranks 132nd in opponent penalties.
134th, actually.
Well, according to this, what I'm looking at, it's 132nd. Because
there's some ties. There's some ties.
Yes,
yeah,
that's correct.
We are tied on raw number with Penn State, their opponents. Penn State has actually been done worse than Miami. 25 penalties, same number, only for 182 yards, 7 fewer yards than the University of Miami. And the team against which penalties are called the least is Iowa, and they've played 8 games as opposed to Miami and Penn State's 7, with 26 penalties for 209 yards, an average of 25.9 penalty yards per game, lowest in the and only 3.3 penalties per game. So when you play against these teams, you are basically perfect. So I'll let you continue with the point because you wanted to bring it up.
The point is this. Oftentimes, Miami fans will scream that there's a bias against Miami, and I'll just be like, no, it's not. Every fan base thinks the same thing. Here are numbers to support there may be a bias against the University of Miami.
Remember all these times that we talk about Ruben Bang getting held and they don't call it?
Correct.
Remember all these different kinds of things? And I have taken the personal stance when live tweeting games. I'm not going to mention it anymore because they're not going to call it. And it's not because I don't see it or I don't believe that it's a penalty. The man gets choked multiple times in the game. He gets held multiple times in the game. That's just a verifiable fact. The fact that they're not calling it doesn't make it not a penalty. Well, it does make it not a penalty, but you get what I'm saying. But yeah, it's egregious. It's really, really bad. And look, if these other teams were also to say, hey, we are hard done by. There are 3 teams in America whose opponents are averaging fewer than 3 penalties per game. It's the 3 that I mentioned: Iowa, Penn State, and the University of Miami. Come on, dog.
Yeah, it's when I saw that, like, I literally almost fell off my bed when I was getting ready for the show. All right, let's talk recruiting. Miami got, we're just in the wee hours of Thursday morning. Who knows what will happen the rest of the week? But up until this point this week, Miami's gotten 2 big-time recruits, Cam. What tell us about the new add-ons for the University of Miami recruiting class?
Yeah, man. So recruiting never sleeps, and the staff has been recruiting very strongly in the background. I don't know if I've said it on here. I know that I haven't really written a recruiting piece in a while. But anyway, on the other show that I host on Wednesday evenings, follow me at Underwood Sports for information on that. I've said that the real foundation of this class, or how good this class can be, is going to be dependent fully upon Miami flipping multiple of the flip targets that they've been pursuing for months. And they've done that. So the most recent one was today, Keyshawn Stansel from from Clayton, North Carolina, a 4-star defensive tackle, 6'3", 270. He flipped his commitment from Clemson to the University of Miami, nice. Which is great. Miami was the runners-up when he committed to Clemson back in the summer. and continue to recruit him all the way through. It's a marathon, not a sprint. So said all of the recruiting staffers when they were vaguely tweeting about this, because you cannot mention recruits by name for, NCAA rule violation reasons. But yeah, they continue just recruiting him all the way through, and he is now flipped. This is yet another win for Miami against Clemson on the trail. I know his college career has not gone the way that we wanted, but remember, Miami flipped Ray Joseph from them years ago after the previous coach, Manny Diaz, said, "You're not big enough to play here." And then he was like, "Okay, I'm going to be All-American here in Miami's Edison," and then go over there. And then Cristobal came in and was like, no, you got to play for me. Boom. So you get that one. Another player, Blake Stewart, in this current class, just decommitted from Clemson. He's a safety from the Atlanta area that Miami's been strongly pursuing. So we have not gotten any final commitment from him, but we'll see about that. And then you get Keyshawn Stansel also, and a couple other dudes. And you went into their backyard, into Clayton, North Carolina, because, Clemson's a regional school over there. But you go into their backyard and get Keyshawn Stansel, that's a exponential win of getting him and also taking him away from Clemson. So that's great stuff. The other player that we have recently gotten committed just 2 days ago is Milan Paris from Stowe, Ohio, Walsh Jesuit. He is a wide receiver, the fourth wide receiver in this class. He is tall and fast. He is 6'5.5", 205 or 6 pounds. This is a guy who bet on himself and has paid off in a big way. He made an early commitment to Iowa State as a junior, kind of as a placeholder. They did a great eval early. He wanted to be like Jaden Higgins, who previously played there. He's now in the league. They have a similar athletic profile. Like, oh, this is great. And then he started his senior season, which sees him to this point averaging 27.5 yards a catch and 12 touchdowns in 8 games. And he said, you know what? All these big-time schools are now really, really interested in me. So I'm going to decommit from Iowa State. After he did that, he took an official visit to Oklahoma. Then he took an official visit to Oregon. Then he took an official visit last weekend to the University of Miami, which was a couple of days before he committed. So if you're thinking, okay, I haven't heard this name, it's really been this fall as a senior that his stock has skyrocketed to put him on our and everybody's radar. And again, if you're thinking he was committed to Iowa State, and I don't think that player could be good enough. Oklahoma has been one of the preeminent teams on offensive football for a good long time. They wanted him. Oregon, one of the best recruiting teams in America from even predating Mario Cristobal's time in Eugene, they wanted him. We both got him on campus, and then we want him and then got him. You know what I mean? So, yeah, this is definitely a good get. 4 different wide receivers in this class. He is of a similar archetype to local superstar and Malachi Tony's best friend, Calvin Russell from Miami Northwestern. All things being equal, you would want Calvin Russell. Calvin Russell don't want to be here, so we went and got the version from Ohio. A similar facsimile, not the same player. And I get that there's the local connection and da-da-da-da-da. Again, I already said, all things being equal, you would prefer getting Russell. Russell's not an option. I got a pretty good comparable player to go in to add in with Vance Spafford, Tyron Evans, and oh my God, I always forget the third one. Samorian Wingo from St. Augustine. So yeah, this is we have 4 receivers committed in this class. There's going to be more movement, both out of this class and hopefully flip commitments into this class. But yeah, this is definitely a testament to the long-term view of recruiting that you have to take through the fall, and then starting the sprint at the end towards National Signing Day, which is only about 6 weeks away. So I'm starting the recruiting notebooks, which I write every year for stateoftheyear.com now, so that I am not scrambling around Thanksgiving weekend. My goal is to have probably 1 a day done and written between now and then. So I'm good, done and dusted, just to write the last couple if we get any flips closer. But those are the 2 who we got this week, Keyshawn Stansel and Milan Paris. And yeah, onward, upward, and forward.
Why is Calvin Russell going to Syracuse again? I don't know. It's bothered me for months, but it's okay.
Cash rules everything around me. Cream, get the money. Dollar bills, y'all.
All right. Well, we'll just go ponder that. Guys, girls, whoever you are, thank you for watching. It's been a fun and amazing experience. go
Indeed.
check out stateoftheu.com, where I think,
Mhm.
because I just emailed it to Cam, my video diary from covering the Miami Stanford game will eventually be up there. So go check that out at stateoftheu.com, plus all of the other great coverage that Cam and his staff do of the Miami Hurricanes. Go check it out at stateoftheu.com. For Cam Underwood, who you can follow at Underwood Sports, I am Brian the Beast London, who you can follow at Miami Radio Beast. We will see you next time right here on the Real Ones Canes podcast. On the Real Ones Canes podcast.
Oh, yeah.
There you go. Peace.
See you.